It's just short of a year. On the 21st of November 2023, the National Assembly, Parliament, adopted a motion calling for the South African government to close the Israeli embassy in South Africa and suspend all diplomatic relations between this country and that country. Dr. Ramphele, who's the chairperson of the Archbishop Desmond Tutu IP Trust, releasing a statement yesterday calling for South Africa to escalate its actions against Israel in the ongoing war in Gaza. Dr. Ramphele joins me now on the line. Good morning, Doctor. Really appreciate your time. You say it's not enough that South Africa is principled in charging Israel with genocide at the International Court of Justice, but still maintains a level of superficial diplomatic relations with that country.
It's not enough, and South Africa knows that, because our freedom is the result of a global movement of boycotts against the apartheid state. Israel should not be allowed to get away with annihilating Palestinians and grabbing their land, because it's very clear it's no longer now a war against so-called terrorists. It is a war which is aimed at grabbing land. And the violation of particularly women and children is happening at a scale which is beyond what South Africa took to the International Court of Justice as genocide. This is impunity. And the only way you deal with impunity is to isolate the bully. And Israel needs to be isolated, and South Africa knows just how effective isolation was during our struggle for freedom.
Doctor, you probably have closer relations, ties and connections to those in the South African government than I do. Cyril Ramaphosa was asked in an oral Q&A session in the National Assembly, I think it was just last week or two, asking, well, we've passed this motion, a motion that the EFF suggested, a motion that the ANC also threw its weight behind, and Cyril Ramaphosa told MPs, well, we're still considering ending diplomatic ties with Israel. Why has it then taken a year for the president to consider what is now a resolution of Parliament?
Our president is not known for quick, effective action. So I think we as the citizens of this country need to remind you of the urgency with which the Department of International Relations and Cooperation should act. And Parliament, which has passed that bill must be enacted, and he just needs to put his signature to it and get it into action. And so you and I, as citizens of this country, cannot just sit and say, well, the president is still thinking about it. We have to put the pressure on, as people put pressure on their governments during the anti-apartheid struggle. So we need to do the same, because Israel has turned out to be a bully boy. As the Arch said, when you watch an elephant with its foot on the tail of a mouse and you say, well, we are still thinking about it, you actually are on the side of the elephant.
Is it because there are real politic consequences, whether it be South African companies, entities who intertrade with Israel? Is it because that the world has also changed over the last year? We do all now have an incoming Republican president and an incoming Republican Senate in the US. So it could be even a Republican House of Representatives. So branches of government who are not friendly to the South African government at the moment. Is it also the president's also weighing up what it would mean for a South African economy and a South Africa geopolitically?
If people had thought in those terms during our struggle for freedom, we would still be struggling. Because FVA declared, acknowledge that one of the measures we are proposing is SWIFT. If you isolate the state of Israel financially, South Africa has a lot of opportunities to trade within Africa. And Africa is a sought after continent in terms of its resources. We are just not playing the game of global economics and power properly. We still act as the exporter of primary resources, whereas we should be, as the BRICS latest meeting said, we should be looking at establishing a different approach where this reliance on the dollar, reliance on the West is replaced with Africa centering the world. Because after all, everybody in the world comes from here. And we have power, even economic power, we are not using. We have all the resources that are needed for the just transition that's needed for climate. We have all the resources needed in terms of a youthful population. We have a lot of power. We have to just have the courage to use our power.
Dr. Ramphele, really appreciate your time. Thank you so much. I do understand that the Minister of International Relations, Ronald Lamola, will either today or tomorrow be having some sort of press conference outlining South Africa's diplomatic stance on a range of issues, including the outcome of the US presidential election, including South Africa's case against Israel at the International Court of Justice, and providing support for an ICC case.